So what this should do is give us a reliable audio input. Very handy. This is a $15 headset, you guys. So if you're getting into streaming and you're not sure how to do it, all you need is a Bluetooth headset. Hook that up with your audio. There's a tremendous, I bought this headset for $15 probably like 3-4 years ago. There's not a whole lot of revolutionary potential in the range of audio devices. Anyways, I want to make sure, noise suppress. Yep, got my all that important stuff kicking. And oh wait, I'm streaming to both, so I don't want to do. I logged into Spotify. I was going to play some Rhyme Sayers because I like Rhyme Sayers, but I'm also streaming to YouTube, and it doesn't say it can be used with YouTube. And you need permission when you're working with other people's stuff. It really is a conversation we got to have. It's just beginning on the legal front for AI, how we coexist when everything that you do, anybody who you show it to can copy it instantly. It's very different, you know, like you could appreciate what Leonardo did, but if Leonardo wasn't there, what he did wasn't going to happen. He brought that all together. And that genius that takes so much education to learn to see the world effectively is really what a lot of it is about, is learning how to see the world. It's the goal of education, is to, a good teacher is always reminding the students of the fallibility of perspective. Not just your philosopher teacher who's supposed to point out the things that we overlook. The other ones are just delinquent. The philosopher teacher has nothing else to talk about because that is the operation, the function of philosophy. It's what the philosopher is supposed to be doing. You can't really functionally demonstrate the benefit of philosophy without being the philosopher. And what the philosopher does is push everything towards a rational perspective, potentially, depending on how good they are, depending on how much math they use, or how competent they are when it comes to coding. It's really the fundamental limiting factor now, because understanding the algorithms, especially when it comes to just such a basic process as deep learning, there's tremendous changes that we're heading into that are predictable. And the impact on each individual is going to be massive. Leadership has got to be coordinating the group, otherwise the boats are going to wreck into each other, you know? You put a bunch of boats all too close, they're holding on to each other, feeling very warm. But then you get some turbulent waters. Boats start running into each other. Damage is caused by the churn, by existing on top of the churn, which is just such an awesome word for it. Thank you very much, Expanse and Amos. I love this phrasing of the turbulence. Churn is just another word for turbulence, right? And systemically, it's just turbulence in the system. So, cool beans, huh? So we're heading into scheduled time. Checking in twice a week is plenty, especially if I'm getting this much engagement. Just waiting for the hordes of whatever. Maybe we could be a horde of haters. Maybe I've already confused them enough to where they keep their distance. Something to understand about every political drama that you're ever going to run into is that when you keep in mind the actual goal, you understand that they're investing energy to reach a quote unquote goal, you know what to worry about. The way of laughing people with their own action. Old adages that are important to remember all the time. Don't throw good money after bad. Business should hold true in emotional relationships. Squareness, treating human beings on the level, all that should hold true across all. Doesn't matter if it's just $1. Doesn't matter if the person harmed can take the hit. Not what it's about. A lot because you let it become like that. There's no way I'm going to get field of view to cover the table as well. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to shuffle it idly while I'm waiting. Because, man, as soon as you're stuck, feels different. I got to be here for 2 hours and 10 minutes. Bummer. One thing I do have to work on is I'm going to go talk to a instructor for a local trade school. What am I going to propose to him? Because what I really want to do is to help to, if this is, to me, a place of learning, it should be something pretty much sacred. The seriousness of the topic warrants an absolute reverence, is what I believe. So stemming from what I believe in the classical education perspective, that the ultimate goal for young people is to create an independent thinking, critical soul. And when you're talking to a 19-year-old, presenting ideas that are relevant, and not just presenting, because that's what it was for me, is that I had snippets of common sense through my development. Tiny, blessed snippets, little tiny bits of common sense came from me. And I saw them and I was like, oh my God, how did we overlook this? And then when I was actually very influential in a small community, even though I was not respectful of those things I was told as a young person, I knew them. I wasn't respectful of them for years. I was not. I didn't know why. I was too hungry. I was too hungry, is really what it was. And I don't know any way to satisfy hunger than years of full meals. I don't know any way to satisfy scarcity thinking. The fact is, I've been involved helping to clean out family friends' properties that are in their, they would be in their 90s. And so these are people that lived through the Depression, and they still hoarded. And we know this behavior. We don't expect them to let it go. Letting it go would be a gigantic effort for them. And it's just better to let them hoard until they expire. They have the right to do this in their own house. We understand this about human nature. And if we're going to engineer a society which is going to effectively foster change in its membership, okay, these things are, while it may exist, and we're going to, the point is, that shut-in maybe had a neighbor who noticed them, okay? I promise you, the shut-in is now being targeted by Fox News, by Google, by Facebook, by every single corporation. The shut-in is not even hardly aware of the gigantic audience it suddenly has of precisely engineered assaults on their situation, working always to extract money, making you feel like things are not good enough. But these people live in such incredible material security. How they are able to listen to a narrative and be driven to violence, or even justifying it in any way, is very scary. Very scary. And that's where the art, the kids who listen, the metalheads and shit, are like the social rejects. Once the fucking winners of the system start acting like that, something's really wrong. They're just opportunists for the most part. And we got to sort all this. And we can. Once we start really talking about and digesting all social drama, not saying we should on anything, okay? It's painful. It's a massive investment to be transparent in resolving social drama. That never happens. It just never happens, guys. You don't get to see all the real reasons for why things happen. And you need to understand that even the people involved are not going to comprehend internally in themselves all the things which played a role. There's also many things to protect, to create a greater harmony, things which are with, that's like what maturity and wisdom is learning how to be present without being disruptive, without being toxic. And even in a dissonance, we can, if we trust each other's intent, and we know that there's like a common goal of a universality. That's why the universality is so key, because, and in small formats, and I'm talking about a community of like 10, 20 people, versus these organizations I'm going at are like 1,400 people. I've got to convince 1,400 people. So the point is, in convincing individuals, I got to convince a lot more than even 1,400, right? But the point is, I'm directly engaged in several situations, really, where there are large amounts of people I'm trying to convince that this is worthwhile. This sophistry almost, it would seem. Old people don't have the energy, though. Young people do. And they're old people are very concerned about young people being, quote unquote, programmed at school. But to go to school and give the kids that philosophical experience where I expertly leave them with questions, I leave them with a perspective which is not negotiating, it's physical truth. Then they start to ask questions in their communities, right? If they do. Do I warn them about this, about the possible reaction of being called a communist by their fucking uncle? Because they talk about working with their friend, even though they're a lost generation, as they try to work together to cut out overhead, which this is just basic business being applied without violently enforcing the individuality. basic business, the business organization, once you take it away from a human being, once it goes to corporate ideas, right? Once there's this corporate umbrella, quote unquote, the philosophical implications are terrific. And it's something that, as far as personal accountability, has been kind of thrown to the wayside. Doesn't matter that it's been thrown to the wayside. That doesn't matter at all. Because it's a transcendent physical principle. So you can hide, you can run, you just can't survive. You surely can't thrive. You're not going to be able to step out and celebrate the things that we're experiencing. Because no one's causing the advent of AI now, okay, guys? It's not me, it's not your neighbor, it's not fucking a political party. This is a complete peripheral action, which is going to impact the state of the game. And even if you're a shut-in, you have an audience. Even if you're not getting on a camera, you have an audience. And if it's just looking through your Fitbit, if it's just looking through your neighbor's Ring doorbell, if it's just looking through your credit cards, if it's just looking through Moody's Analytics, your social media, 1,000 perspectives already exist. What's up? I am having a pretty wonderful day. I'm having a chill day. I was doing solid, and then I was like, no, I'm gonna go pick up some edibles. So I had quite a restful night. It was good, and life's good. How are you? How was your day? Do you live in a place which has 4 seasons? I think 4 seasons is a really great thing to have in your daily life. I guess annual life, maybe I should say, because that's a way of describing the winter. Which, oh man, I wish it had. It's like freezing outside right now. It just snowed, which is incredible. It shouldn't be snowing. But yeah, no, I'm sorry to hear the day was not thrilling. Peaks and valleys though, right? And the thing is when you celebrate the valleys, yeah, very different than here. When you celebrate the valleys though, it makes everything better. You know what I mean? Like appreciate where you're at, just breathe and yeah, that's good. This is my first scheduled, cheers. This is my first scheduled stream where I'm like stuck. So I'm here for another 2 hours. I guess it begins right now. I'm scheduled. Hooray. Hooray. Cheers. Welcome. Come back whenever you'd like. I appreciate company. So as the game is by technology, the game is going to be pushed to new levels, and that will drive. Pressure on the individual, and the individual knowing how to respond to relieve that pressure. In a wellness thing for me, so I I love cheese. I don't know about you guys. I just have a thing with cheese. I enjoy it. It's amazing. And sometimes I would eat too much cheese and I would have indigestion. Or the things that I would do that was stupid. But for me, the thing is living alone and cooking, and I try not to waste food, and I've got a bad habit of eating. You don't need to force yourself to eat, and you shouldn't never force yourself to eat. If you're at a point where you're uncomfortable from eating, just stop, chill, take a break. What's up? Welcome back. But yeah, the point is you learn how to relieve pressure. So a lot of indigestion that I would get then would be like sort of a dairy blockage, we'll call it, in my super long intestine area thing, probably. And learning that I could do things. This is what I would do. It's worked so far. I've never had a situation that's persisted. If anything persists, you go back to your doctor. But just learning to twist your intestines a little bit, and it massages that school bus long wrap that you have going on, and it helps things to work through. In a similar sense, in a changing society, changing time like we're in, there will be pressures that build up that are new, and we won't know how to interpret them. We won't know how to effectively depressurize them. And the thing to realize about pressure is there's always even a potential. Wherever a pressure develops, there is a potential. So through clear understanding, suddenly these things which are going to just shift around us become engines of our evolution instead of catastrophes in our way. But you got to see what's happening, and you have to be patient enough to accurately identify what the problem is. Because I could have thought my liver's falling apart or something. You know what I mean? You could imagine that your organs are having some other serious issue. Then I remember that I ate a whole pizza. For some reason, the homemade ranch just sounded amazing, and it is really good together. It's an awesome meal that I love to enjoy myself. I like sourdough. Anyways, welcome back. So this is my time to be like present if anybody wants it, because I'm a rambling man. I go around, talk to people. I think it has an impact sometimes. Apparently it doesn't have much of an impact. That's okay. That's good. That's low liability. That's phenomenal. But the hope that I try to like design a art that spurs philosophical discourse. And this is the space where I try to maintain that discourse. So any topic you want to discuss, current events, philosophy, science, technology, I'm all about it. So it's about maintaining a learning situation, and very much in a positive, like, let's share knowledge. And when it is knowledge, let's all humbly acquiesce to legitimate knowledge. And that is, when you go back to anything with studies, we'll go into the studies for it. So, because there are entire schools of thought that I directly attack on a regular basis that are pretty common schools of thought, but they're just incorrect. They're really, when you understand their true root, they become something so much more toxic and it's about the history. Truly, it is critical to understand where things all come from. But we can own history, and we can figure out a way to work forward from where we've been, and only that way are we going to find a way to propose something that we can record and we can present to the world, and the world can see it, and the world can then say, you know what, that's a pretty good idea. Let's maybe this is something worth listening to. But I've been doing this now for 20 years. And, mostly all it's done is destroy most of my personal relationships, which I don't mind. My mind and the way that I discipline myself is to deal with the truth, and people who don't even care to conform to the truth, I have so little in common with. And the problem is, I realized it when I was living with roommates. The person who has the cleanest sensibilities is the one who's always driven to clean. So if you're the one who has super clean sensibilities, your roommates, if they're just a little bit less clean sensitive than you, you're always feeling pressure to clean. You clean, and they never even reach their threshold. So it's sort of you start to understand that you're sort of abusing each other. And for me, it became something because I had a roommate who, and he had the beginning of a point. He wanted. I told him I was going to get rid of his cat because his cat had taken a Duke right in front of our door, and he didn't want to pick it up. And he was like, "You pet the cat," and it's like, "Yes, I treat the animal with some humanity because there's an animal right in front of me. That doesn't mean I'm the owner of the cat. You did agree to clean it up, and you know when he got the cat, he totally agreed on it. But then he tried to renegotiate and distribute it. So I mean, the thing is, you're going to run into people no matter what you do who are going to try to min max the game, okay? And they're going to succeed if you don't know how to respond. And you are going to end up getting negotiated out of, you're not going to realize what you're bartering away. You're going to end up with nothing. And it comes down to root game theory. And it's about to be off the chart with AIs. So you can't make arrangements now. Like the average person should be very careful with what investments they choose. They should be absolutely considering a major difference between speculative business right now and anything traditional. There is a entity, it's an establishment, I'm going to call it, that does exist. It's distributed largely, and even if it's not, wherever it's not distributed, you don't want to look at that. Forget about that. Okay, if the system that big is doing anything, it's not our place to even question it. Okay, we can't. What we can do, myself included, I can close that all up in a box and say there's the establishment, whether it's distributed between 20 million people or 20 people or 2 or 1. Okay, the point is it's going to do what it's going to do. It needs inspiration, just like young people need inspiration. Okay, it is still considers itself, every human being still tries to find a common humanity in themselves. All the political maneuvering, it's about projections of humanity. And they lose themselves because they're so busy trying to tell everybody who someone else is, which is always, of course, exaggerated, which is why if all you do is you stay on camera and stay available, you really demonstrate that they never have anything to actually say. There's really exploitative entities, and in every promotional scene, they make up a lot of them. And really everybody's empowered. So those who are exploitative, which some of these people learn this very young. Some of these people grow up in families where their parents have made their living this way. Their parents tell them as children they're supposed to take advantage of their peers. When you do that at all, you violate level and you change the arrangement. And so we end up in a situation where we have a bipolar society where there's a tremendous amount of wealth on one side of the tracks, and the other side has all the kids. This is not smart. This is not good. Nobody gets to act like this shit is, oh no. Oh. I have 2 recording folders. As a data scientist, I hate duplicates. Anyways, I want to get some music playing. And There's got to be something decent in what, but they could be anything though is a problem. Any crazy thing I might have used this recorder for. Who even knows? Not me. Oh, I got WAV files from back in the 1.99 gigabytes. We're gonna listen to this thing. Anyway, a little bit of sound in the background. Audio can now be shared publicly. I don't think I need it. 2 gigabyte sound file. WAV. Why would I do this to myself? But yeah, I knew it was going to be, this is going to be all just like nonsense. God, that sounds terrible, doesn't it? Was that? No. Yeah, if I can get rid of these WAV files, that's the first stuff to get rid of. Saves a bunch of space. So welcome back, Matex, again. Any topic you want to discuss or anything? I'm going to idly edit this audio stuff so I get a 2 hours of nothing. And that's another 2 gigabyte file. Oh, we got another one here. Hooray, easy cleaning. Always look on the bright side. I've got so many hundreds of just Tascam 0. I'm up into like 350 now. Different files, recorded files that it has, and I'm not sure if it ever resets it. I do think I might have uploaded some firmware to it at some point. Well, I've already cleaned up 12 gigabytes. So I've got these recordings that are just, gosh, it sounds bad. I did understand something physical recently. A friend of mine girlfriend spent his payout from a tax return. Yeah, it just sounds horrific. So I'm not sure why it blew everything out, and it's got to be because it's such focused frequencies that they're actually peaking out the hardware. If I just do an effect of a low pass filter, uh, select it all, boom. That's what drives me crazy in my ears, the highs. So I'm gonna cut it off at 16 kilohertz, roll off per octave of 6 decibels. And what this will do is it'll get rid of the over 16 kilohertz, which is just the top 20% or so of our audible range. Um, Still has that just incredible noise. See if the noise reduction works. Just trash. So I thought about getting another condenser mic because I do have one condenser mic. It's just why record a mono channel? That sucks. Um, I do think the ability to create phasing between left and right adds a whole new dimension to audio. Huh. I don't know why, because I don't think, okay, I'm gonna go to one of my new ones. Still sounds just crappy. And yet I feel like if I go to, I put a couple tracks up recently, I don't think they sound anywhere near as awful. Maybe I used a trick. And I have neutral. Cult of the Lamb is a weird game, you guys. I tried to follow along. It's like you're clicking, but you're just clicking into like a, you know, one of the phone games. Dooby dooby doo, shooby doop boop boop, shooby dooby dooby doop, shooby doop boop, booby dooby 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 doop. Shooby shooby dooby dooby boop boop. Okay. Where? No, I didn't. Oh no. Oh no. Oh. Not there. You guys ever store files on Discord? Like this one. Oh, and I've already got one downloaded. That's cool. This is a cool track. Somebody wanted to download it. It was me. Most of the downloads of my stuff are me. It's probably going to stay that way. Oh, this had it too. Guys, what the heck? Have I been putting all this through the wrong sound system? And now that I'm using my $15 Bluetooth headset, I can hear all the distortion and noise constant in these fucking tracks. It's bad. So I guess I gotta buy a condenser mic. A second condenser mic would change everything. Okay, guys, you talked me into it. I hear you. What I need is a frickin' mixer. You know how long it's been since I've had a mixer? I have a cousin who, oh no. I have a cousin who is a DJ sometimes. Of course, XLR. You guys know you need XLR, right? 12-volt phantom power. Where the hell is 12-volt phantom power used? What the heck? I'm using a DR40D right now. I thought they were 48 volts. Has been replaced with the, yeah, that's the one that I got. You're kidding. It doesn't have phantom power. Okay, this one doesn't have phantom power. But I thought phantom power was usually 48 volts. When did it go down to 12 volts? Anyways, that means, but is it DR70D maybe? The other one that I have, which has had some issues. Yeah. This one's had some issues, but it has 4 plugs, and I think it can, with phantom power. So it'll have to be that. That makes sense, though. I should understand that I'm not going to get an awesome recording out of these tiny little condenser mics. Still, I said what I said. Lo-fi forever. It's part of empowering everybody is creating a norm where we accept something. Production quality just tells us how fat your project is. And when your goal is a little tiny thing, then it's very easy to have a quote unquote fat project. If your goal is gigantic, like turning the establishment around, a giant box, figuring out how to turn it around and get it to work the other way, perpetually in scarcity, perpetual scarcity. So you give these things a power with that, and it actually does change. People who want to discount a book by its cover, I welcome that. Those are definitely the situations which are the easiest to navigate. People who choose to project what they want to see as a habitual response rather than to be confounded and withdraw and find your center. Once again, find your center. Every day to be able to do that is such a blessing. Woo. And balance on my yoga roller thing. But yeah, I think that's a safe rule, and it's something that we should, as artists, I think every artist, if you want to wear the badge of artist, there's certain things we're going to start imposing on them. Like when the world is melting, nobody gets to fuck around. It's not set a norm of adults fucking around, of any position becoming just a fuck around position. But quantifying value and measuring everything is what's coming. And you've got to start doing it in whatever measure you can manage. Otherwise, you just will fail. So learning how to exist outside of the narrative we grew up in. Took me a long time. Took me a long time figuring out how to stop the thoughts in my head. Things like, perhaps I might end up alone. Who cares? What's so bad about being alone, you guys? How many couples are there that won't say that there have been times where they felt like they should be alone? And let me tell you a truth of the struggle. If you're in that situation where the boats are running into each other in turbulent waters, if you can't even manage to get away from the other boats because you don't even try, versus the person who is more comfortable with space, they just float off and are safe, whereas your habit of requiring confirmation, your political reality which you have built up around you, it's just a house of cards. It's easily pushed over. It should be aligned with industry. That's what makes it robust. It should be aligned with the actual interests of the actual people involved. It should be delivering food to their houses. It should be empowering their development. It should be freeing their minds. And the karma of not freeing their minds is real. If you want to be a teacher or a leader and you don't give a sincere effort, when the kids have the internet, God, I mean, I knew how far ahead of my teachers I was. I can't imagine now. I mean, they have real examples of actual incredible individuals that are just sharing their character online. We're not going to be able to sell this stuff, you guys. This content is not going to be the product of the future. Probably not the product in 3 years, you know. But we can seize a conscious control of our creation of it and accomplish, you know, something different, which the kids absolutely deserve. Right, kids? I mean, if you guys feel free to speak in and, you know, jump into the conversation anytime. But speak about it. Don't act about it. Don't think you're going to outsmart the fucking game. By the time you manage to develop any meaningful inertia, you are tripping alarms all around you. You simply cannot take on the establishment. We are to be its salvation by demonstrating a way to do it gracefully. A way you can learn to do it. Which it's not shameful to fall. If I stop because I fall, I'll never get anywhere near this good. I never believed I would be able to stand on top of a 6-inch yoga roller and drink coffee, have a conversation, almost fall, and walk it forward. As I see, I'm bringing it into the other camera. Very, very unstable, guys. It's a 6-inch foam yoga roller. But even a 200-pound, hairy, Midwestern couch potato gamer dude, I'm not a couch potato. I mix in work. I have a mixture. But I'm not an athlete sort of guy. I never cared to compete in brainless games. I win brain games, guys. Chess is so much more valid of a competition in every way imaginable. Anyways, in the same way, we learn there's pressure building in my legs. My legs are active, balancing me. My feet are are on top of the roller and conforming to it a bit. They change is like out here is totally different than when I'm in a different spot on my foot. And the more that range where I'm comfortable and the more that my foot's able to conform to it and I have real-time experience with it, my body develops a natural memory of the mechanics. This is a mechanical model. This is the way we can learn anything. And it's going to be uncomfortable. And we're not going to have ever thought we could become a person who can balance on one leg and take a sip of coffee. Okay, now I got to do it. Bam. Bam. Why? It's not to be acting tough, not to be pretending like that's an incredible skill. It's just a daily practice that if you carry on diligently for years, you will have as well. Even if you never had balance, you can learn rhythm even if you never had rhythm. And rhythm is so much more satisfying than melody, guys. Sorry, melody players. But you may know what I mean. Appreciate feedback and call me a bullshitter if you think so. Oh no. I gotta pick that up. Into the sweat. Oh well. What I need to do next is some sort of coaster. My RSO gummies, the good kind. But yeah, so point is, there's as above, so below, that whole concept, what it really means, and how it applies to where we're at. And what we need to be doing is learning how to detect pressures, because there's social pressures. There's pressures. Once 50 people believe the same thing, that's a real serious pressure, guys. 50 people in your circumference, that they decide they want you to feel bad, it's hard to feel good. I might be pro at it. I am pro at it. I thrive off of it after it's become so formulaic. Honestly, it just reminds me. And then I just get gassed up on the idea that like at 21, I was like so far ahead of the game. Just disconnected from it, guys. You're trying to lift an impossible weight. And it's because you don't understand how to see the system. And a lot of things that people have chosen to invest in are obviously bad investments. And I got to call that shit out. We all have to. We have to change the norm. We cannot keep investing in failing plans, right? We actually have to accomplish meaningful change. However it is we figure out how to do that, that's a whole nother problem. Well, we'll do the Cosmic Tarot now that we've had an hour of discussion. Since there is no conversation, MacX, you got anything you want to talk about? You're welcome to bring it up. And everybody, here's the Discord, which forever available. How did I miss the terrible audio? What happened there? And maybe it's the Bluetooth. No, because I can see the noise on the waveform in Audacity. For me, the thing is I'm a writer, and I just love the words, and it still has the creative meaning. It never has to be produced. Some of the best art is packed into being. And if the statement, the art can actually have a statement of being lo-fi, which that is my statement, guys. I'm lo-fi. I'm all about empowering the people, and lo-fi fundamentally as a concept empowers people. So you see, obviously, you may have such taste as to be too good for a lo-fi source. That lo-fi source is the undercurrent that tells people why it is you failed. I think it's smart to ignore it. I love it when they ignore it. Easy wins. It's just a matter of time before an AI transcribes it for an entirely different system interprets the data trace, and it will see everything. We can't hide anything, really, because everything has an effect. This is basic Buddhism, interconnectedness. Everything has an effect. That effect has an effect. Every effect has an effect. You end up with a trace of disturbance by watching deltas, not the current state minus yesterday's state. You want it to be positive, unless it's the price of the commodity that you need. They're already talking about how the crisis in California is going to affect food prices. The crisis in California, which is the floods that washed away fields of food. Zehan's talking about how a lot of areas, desert nations, had the inability to bear a certain amount of people, and with the moment we had of a global supply chain where everybody with money got what they wanted, suddenly you could be in the middle of the desert and getting regular, bountiful deliveries. And that bounty led to a burgeoning population. They had a lot of babies. Well, when the global supply chain breaks down, as we're having happen right now, when Ukrainian wheat is shut down, when global fertilizer is challenged, when even the places that are normally so productive, such as California's agriculture, just have a bad year of weather, it can create a wave. It really is just a wave. The same as on the yoga roller. When I'm rolling this way, it's sort of wave, and my trend goes this way, I want to pull it back to center. It can go forward or back on the yoga roller. It's a nice thing about the yoga roller. If it was a ball, it could go in 360 different degrees, and I could generalize it to X and Y. Because it's a roller, I've only got one dimension to roll. It's really not that unstable. It could be a roller on a roller, and it would be very unstable. That is something that you can't imagine many situations where it would be necessary, but there are controls applications, especially when you talk military and super duper high performance. It's not what you would think. Sometimes the complexity is justified, sometimes, just sometimes. How we understand even our grocery bill should be the same way that we understand the tax proposal. It's all the same fucking model, you guys. And it's a very complex arrangement because we've had Band-Aid after Band-Aid after fucking Band-Aid. So it's a very complex pile of shit right now. Remember the fundamentals. Remember that if a man could do X amount of work in 1800, that same man with the empowerment of machines can do X times 10,000 men's work. And farmers do this typically. These tractors can drive themselves now, right? And the next step is going to be tremendous, the next 5 years or so. If mankind has become that productive, why are there hungry kids? Why is there struggle for across the generation? This is a horrific abuse that's been allowed to develop into this. Sure, let's have the ability to compete and get ahead, but you don't have to destroy everything in your getting ahead. And God forbid we let people get ahead who are so wantonly destructive, are so poorly raised, have no meaningful empathy in their soul, which they'll develop if they begin talking about it, if they begin submitting to a universal sort of thing, that they've got to find something that they believe is going to respect their unique, contributions. Certainly nothing which is going to judge them to start. Not even saying I don't deserve judgment, but on passing judgment, there's a process there that I have, that I manage myself because I've always known other people are too fucking sloppy about it. I always had to manage it myself. So I know how it works, guys. You got to fucking charge. You fucking talk to the person charged. You verify independently. You never take action. You never spread that shit. And yes, it's terribly challenging with me. But believe I had a defense if I was ever given a chance. Ace of Cups, Knight of Swords, Page of Cups, third highest that can be arrived at. Seven of Pentacles, the Fool, nothing reversed yet. Three of Wands, Page of Pentacles reversed. I shouldn't have said anything. Nine of Cups reversed. That's not even fun. Page of Pentacles reversed again. And Temperance. True heart, joy, contentment, abode, nourishment, abundance, fertility, holy table, felicity, happiness. The opposition is the Knight of Swords, which is the rushing to battle. Skill, bravery, capacity, defense, address, enmity, wrath, war, destruction, opposition, resistance, ruin. Yeah, the holy table, the opposition is this aggression in trying to make the change. And what makes it holy is how peaceful it is and how translatable it is. That's what makes it universally human. And we got to get there because everybody can see us now. Right now, I'm intentionally sending this to YouTube and Twitch so it can be seen. The highest that can arrive at is the Page of Cups. Fair young man, one impelled to render service and with whom the current will be connected. A studious youth, news, message, application, reflection, meditation. Also, these things directed to business. Yes, I should be working on translating this energy into business and how we change the narrative to where kids begin self-organizing. That's what I want to, how do I do this with the class? Because the goal is to catalyze young people, but we're going to get them started on something that terrorizes. The terrorized boomers have learned to fear, and that's the kids working together. And then you just need to own this. And kids, you got to confront the old people with this. So you'll never be satisfied with us working together. Why? And they'll tell you they just believe it's bad, but you've got to establish your boundaries and say, you left us behind. We've got to do something. This is insane that these adults are getting in the way. But that's why we have to figure out a way to make this a literal business, because if it's a business, they'll let it survive. We got to translate it to their frickin' language, which sucks. But how we translate between a real faith where people are safe, where everybody is very safe, and a world where we have to make progress. When we have 10,000 times the result from one person, I tell you that world it's already around us. We just are not paying attention. And so I take the attention. I take the attention. That is me being me. Seven of Pentacles. These are exceedingly contradictory in the main. It is a card of money, business, barter, but one reading gives altercation, quarrel, and another innocence, ingenuity, purging. We have energy to let go of, and this energy requires, it's a social inertia, and it translates into how we even treat each other. So being a person who just violates this is, I wish I had a camera on my face. Okay. Violating these social norms is critical. It's important, friends. And yes, I'm happy to be this person who does that. Okay, other side. Actually, if I just put it up here. I'm not good at this. Okay. Opposite day. So this is where there's this collective interest, okay? Where the idea of society, we have to get back to a conversation about how we constructively with each other build, quote unquote, society. And how we actualize this. There's all sorts of failing organizations around, and how do we marshal them? And I think that once we allow young people to freely experiment, it will absolutely, they will solve the problems for us, you guys. Life is naturally life affirming. And once one person can get done what 10,000 people can get done, the point is it's not such a problem getting what you need. This imposed scarcity is over. It's going to change. It's time. You need to have fucking Russia invade a fucking country to justify the fucking incredible shortfall we have. But we should have stockpiles. We should have years and years of stockpiles. We should have multitudes of methods. The progress is broken loose now because AI is out. While I've been able to act as the fool in the past, folly, mania, extravagance, intoxication, delirium, frenzy, bereavement. I get to be human for a minute. Fuckers. You never even grew the thing which is required for the sort of energy that is being manifest. So keep your judgment to yourselves, because you don't even want to be held to a real measure. It's not going to be pretty. And heading into Three of Wands, which is you symbolize established strength, enterprise, effort, trade, discovery, commerce. Those are his ships bearing his merchandise, which are sailing over the sea. Oh, that sounds nice. That's kind of what this whole thing is here. Okay, the Page of Pentacles shows up reversed. as if to mock me. Also, the hopes and fears. Let's see here. It's going to be prodigality, dissipation, liberality, luxury, unfavorable news. Bad news and dissipation is the fear. And so far, it's been unfavorable news. Oh man, I would like to get notified that something's real. I might have gotten. We'll see. We'll see what's happening. People tell me to just relax, but until there's a bird in the hand, you don't relax, right? I got to figure out my security and business thing. So am I hope or fear? How's it? And this shouldn't normally happen. We have the exact same card in both positions. This is only available because I have a combination vibe deck I've been using for 10 years. Prodigality, dissipation, liberality, luxury, unfavorable news. Yeah, the thing is, like I said, this project is the proposed coherence, the coming together of 10 different significant energies. Everything has to line up. People paying attention has to line up with the material being available, has to line up with the leadership having the vision, has to line up with the environment being welcoming, has to line up with the commodities involved possibly shifting. The bigger the plan is, the more that it forces us to adapt. The more it's important it is to have leadership who can see what's going on. And when you combine those two things of a transcendent vision with a singular individual such as myself, this is why I've been a prima donna. Because I'm signing up, as I enter any community, I'm signing up for a life of relentlessly dealing with people who don't, in our culture, in American culture, they don't respect intelligence, they don't respect sacrifice, they don't respect what they're given. They can't. They're caged animals that hate their lives. It's okay. They got to own it. They're just caged animals that hate their lives. And their behavior proves it. And there's data on their fucking behavior. And they're dumb enough to get on fucking line and start talking about it. Their perspectives won't hold over time. Their nonsense will be held against them. And the time in which they did it, any effect that it had can be measured. You measure the effect and you hold them accountable. Why not? Why would we not be doing this? In spite of our legal system and our establishment, which there are power players in, people who are positioned into a lifestyle of lackadaisical prodigality, it doesn't mean it will last forever. And there's a real karmic back pressure that they don't care to account for. Doesn't mean that it doesn't. It has a tremendous impact on their lives and on society. And it's all recorded. It's all mapped. Every impact is now mapped. The surroundings, Nine of Pentacles, reversed, roguery, deception, void project, bad faith. And that's the don't throw good faith after bad faith. You let people do what they're going to do. And so long as your guard is up, you can just kind of float idly by. And that really demonstrates something vital for the community, the young people to understand. There are old people who are from a world of playground politics. where they're like, I threw a rock at somebody and hit them. Ha 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 ha. Right? The future is a lot more empathetic with the person who gets hit than the person who threw the rock. And throwing rocks is just poor. I mean, it's like, what's wrong with you, kid? And if you're an adult, what's wrong with you, adult? So we are in a bad faith norm where civic engagement is considered just a wasted investment. And it's made into a wasted investment because of the quality of these adults. That is a lacking quality. But when kids have inspiration to stay good, and they start to believe that, wait a minute, there's going to be good people, and they start to understand that in spite of their entire surroundings being scummy fuck-ups, there are individually good people, and now we can all link up online around the bullshit around us so easily. This changes the game, and it allows the best people who think about where your energy goes. And if you have friends who are just tragically never growing, get rid of them. They're bleeding you dead. Life grows. You should expect growth, not just the next disruptive excuse for why they constantly need some attention and some petting. You make a choice with your life, and if it's a time to make progress, which it is now, being stagnant is just going to hurt you. It's going to hurt everything you supposedly claim to care about. Bad. And that's a very well-deserved pain. And it's forced me into this dissipation, which I don't like. That's why I yell at you guys. I shouldn't even be tempted to give up on you, by you. But there's bad people around you, like actually bad people, who are authentically, they believe these concepts. They believe that they're supposed to fight for existence. They believe that there's a game they're part of. They may have built up these things in their life. This is the danger of the easy pimping, the danger of letting yourself be taken in with these fucking scummy. It truly is scummy, right? That is even there. It's just downright scummy. It doesn't have to be part of any relationship, and it shouldn't be a part of a healthy relationship. Over time, these rigid components will grate because human beings are fluid and change. It's not like you stop changing just because you're 40. You will change throughout your fucking life. Look how disgusting boomers became. And all it took was a technology that was ahead of them, that was able to lead them in circles until they got confused and sold their souls. Don't be the same way, kids. You don't have to sell your souls. Realize that old people did sell their souls, and you have to figure out some way to get them to allow you to do what has always been done, but they were conditioned to hate, and that is you working together with your neighbor. They're going to think it's communism. So you got to be artful. Got to be an artful dodger, guys. And this is the contribution, is getting the thoughts kicking while we wait for the old people to give us permission, because they destroyed my life and business several times already. Don't do it yourself. So economy, moderation, frugality, management, accommodation. I'm playing this game. I'm a 20-year veteran of it. I've had businesses, locations that had hundreds of events. I've had impacts on hundreds of people. Some of them have fed back to me. And that feedback is what gave me perspective. There was a living exchange in the community from the local art scene. It doesn't exist online like that because there's no bounds. And it takes a focused, directed leadership to create those bounds. But this has never been done. never been done. So it's confusing, and it's fine to be confused. The only thing you need to not be fucking doing is simmering and fucking resentment. You got to fucking talk, period. You want to be at all near this, you're going to get dragged in. And when you are, you should know who you can talk to. You should have numerous people in your life you can talk to and trust their feedback that you believe are going to speak to you in order to best assist you. That's not abnormal. Having 5 or 6 close friends is just where you should be. We do lose that in our consumptive mode because we're animals forced into cages, forced into hateful existence when there's no reason for it to be that way. And there's a definite back pressure on the whole body, on the whole community. There's an absolute fucking back pressure. Why are we allowing a persistence of something which we know corrupts the goodwill of our children? You approach everything square. Kids are always watching. You might know how to take advantage, but taking advantage is exploitation. And you might think you can obscure it in that locality. But exploitation leads to fundamental changes of flows of energy. People's feelings and attitudes fundamentally shift their behaviors, and everybody's doing all this online. Those shifts in behaviors that people imagined they weren't being witnessed because they were putting it into a VPN. They thought nobody witnessed. There's 10,000 ways in which their data has already been sold, and everything that they did was absolutely witnessed. And even random Boy Scout in a basement has a life's worth of data on everybody if they want, if they have that amount of store. And it's not that much. The stuff breaks down very simple, and once you get to a certain stage, you begin. It's like what MP3s did with music. You can reach a point where you simplified, and all of a sudden, what used to take 2 gigabytes, which was 2 hours of WAV files, now takes 150 kilobytes. 2,000 down to 150 is a reduction to less than 10%, 7.5% of the previous. And I don't know if that's what it is, and it depends on settings in the MP3, but what the MP3 is doing is it recognizes a pattern, and then it just names a gigantic area pattern. So it recognizes Florida as it says peninsula. And wherever there's a peninsula, now instead of mapping out specifically, it has a commonality, Florida and Michigan, both peninsulas, different size. But if we can't tell the difference, it doesn't matter. And once this knowledge is taken away from such obvious things, which you can see, people will say, I can tell the difference between Florida and Michigan. Okay, cool guy. But what are you going to do when that's everywhere, on everything? And our data is literally crunched. Are you really going to be proud to stand behind your true behaviors? Have you been a source of hope and faith? You might be very surprised to understand that the right opponent, the righteous opponent, fighting righteously, what it does, shows you faith. My victories build faith. It's a ruin in the dark places as the light bursts through. That's why I try to stay mostly humble about it. But in this moment, young people need to be awakened. How do we get young people to start doing what they can do and change it from trying to develop a character of attitude? Like, I have a lot of available attitude. I didn't start with attitude. I started with talent. You have no excuse for stopping developing talent every day. Make it a lifestyle. And if you're going to wait on the fucking curriculum, if you're going to wait on these old people, you're going to miss everything. Because they don't even care to explain to you how fucked you are. Fucked we all are. We don't figure out some way to sort all this. What about my format, guys? My audience. This hi-fi enough for you? Is it? Do you like it? Well, in the text, you probably took off by now, huh? Oh, how do I do here? Here. Doobie, shoo-doo. Oh, geez, that was bad. I don't care. This is lo-fi. We're just telling the kids the flipping truth as best we can. Poor kids, they never stood a chance. It's terrible. It's terrible. Which is interesting because yep, cool. Okay. So that's the question, and I probably want to get something that's like a computer audio 2000s, $72. Come on. Sort by customer review. Mackie, 10 channel. Comes with a bunch of equipment. Four channel, Bluetooth studio audio mixer, DJ sound controller, interface with USB drive for PC recording input. Oh, fine shine. Depenshang. Once you go digital, I mean, it's just a matter of the chips and then accomplishing a few connections. There's not, I don't think, much future ahead for trying to act like your brand has a ton of additional quality. The standard is just so fucking good now, as Mackie and Tile are learning. And we've got 726 positive reviews on a 12-channel DJ sound controller interface. It's got, and the thing is, it's got a bulge in the one-star reviews. That's because it's off-brand. You know what I mean? Pile 6-channel DJ controller. This one's got a similar bulge, and it's got a lot less reviews. It's only got a third of the reviews. It's on sale too. Might have had an issue. So let's do some smart shopping. Forty minutes remain in the rocking chair, rocking. Ooh, where's the kids at? Where's the kid? Oh, don't worry about it, young people. But when you want to talk, I'll be in a rocking chair. Giving you just a few hours of my time, which I'm just charging that to God, if you don't mind. $120? No way. Oh, yuck. Yeah, 48-volt phantom power. I don't know what 12-volt phantom power is. That's weird shit. I'll have to ask. Producer friends, you know. But the point is, it doesn't, as an audio interface, it only has one XLR input. Then sound pads. Would you guys like this if I suddenly threw on some reverb? I mean, I can do that, I think, here, actually. If I just close this, audio setup, recording device, headset, and playback device to the headphones. And then audio settings. How do I turn on your monitor here? Cancel. Tools. No. Track. No. Analyze. Select. Maybe it'll be preferences. Software playthrough of input, which I think will only happen once I'm recording. Click OK. OK. Turn this off here. Well, it came back through my headphones, but it did not play out there, and I got to get all the plugins, I guess, to get any sort of real-time effects out of Audacity. I should get Ableton, or is Ableton already installed here? It is. Very cool. And yeah, so I just have a personal faith that a norm of an open conversation, especially people say don't talk about that. That means we all pile in and we talk about it. That's where everybody pays attention. It's where we start pulling apart every aspect of it. Because there really is very little to be alarmed about. There's some frustrated people who are struggling. Once they really are being helped, really we're going to be in a much better, healthier place. All of us, I think. Okay, a 909 kit and a Batu kit. Let's see what we can do here, Batu kit. We're going to make it 3 measures. The numbers matter so much with this stuff. I think a lot of people don't realize how much knowing the numbers matters. My producer friend was talking to me about it one day, which the funny part was, it's like, you realize, like, dude, I'm the guy who cares about numbers. A hi-hat black hole? You are kidding me. That's not a black hole. Oh. Oh my gosh. That's why it wasn't coming through. Because I had the volume turned all the way down. So I could probably totally just bring the audio right through and put some stuff on it. Put some stuff on it, some stank on it. So what I'm doing here I see. I must have a filter on there. Oh, and I guess I should probably open up the right side. Just fooling around. At least this, as a musical format, doesn't introduce all that static. So, just by learning how to listen. And the nice thing about Ableton is it gives you this amazing visualization of exactly what you're doing. For those who don't know, this is Ableton 10. I think it's like $90 for the license, for the light license. This doesn't allow you to record as much, I think, but plenty of to play and get a kid started with music. So this is just going to be free software anyways. And all this work is going to be done by AI, superhuman levels, but we might as well play with it while we have the opportunity. And what we have is the feedback of not just the audio, but also the visual. When I click something and change it, it stays there. And the amazing thing is I can edit non-destructively. I can take something and move it away and move it right back. If that's even where it was. And that's good. Listen. But you find a groove. And there is. And in this MIDI thing, I can take way down. So here's the trick. Control D all the way down. Go to each one and delete 4 things. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's several ways which I stack like this. And really all I'm doing, without even listening to it, because I started with something acceptable, that allows me, in case you wear the wrong thing, to make such an assumption, which leads to incredible productivity because I can take it back up so we can hear what's going on. Oh, that's not a good one. And see, people who think that this is a complicated task, like people who have made their fortunes off this or people who aspire to, are going to say, this is just random. It is just random. Does that mean the output doesn't sound as good? I'm going to keep it. And I want to stay away from twos. I want to stay away from fours. I want to stay away from eights. I want to stay away from everything even. I took 3 measures that are going to be repeated because 4 measures and 4 times can be seen almost as 4 notes. All a matter of zooming in and out, which you'll see once you hold down control and roll your mouse wheel. Looks real big. These are notes. You see how it races past. You just zoom out, and there's a tremendous amount of commonality, but I set something up. I listen while I maneuver things around. Then I massaged it to where it's not one track sounded good, duplicated it 8 times, went through those and did random adjustments. And now, if I repeat this again with a 909 core kit, for example, and that's, the big thing is you don't want to have a constant cymbal or ride coming in. You've got to, the high notes and all that, you've got to make more rare. You can't just loop those relentlessly or it just gets exhausting. So the point is you have several drum tracks, and the several drum tracks, one of them's putting down a bass line, and as you mix and match these, you create all sorts of complexity, some emergent complexity. That's actually, I think it's good music. I think it's mind expanding, really. And we're about to have AI doing this. You might as well be putting your hands on it yourself. But I basically set up, 10 of these, and then I'll have like my Launchpad Pro, which is, I got to pull that out and start playing with it if I'm going to do this. And I can do this on stream, jam out, something to do while I'm stuck here, not just playing a ridiculous video game, wasting time. I play some mics, guys. You guys, I play some mics. It's 1:50, and I've only got 10 minutes remaining. Save live set as 23andMe. Starter demo project. I don't want to do starter demo project. I'm going to go to desktop. I'm going to create a new folder, hand stream. Yeah. Save. Okie dokie. Goodbye. No, do not save project before closing. So let's just do a reading from a book. Which book? Should we go back to Fear? For which, when the tarot gave me the highest that I could arrive at was the sword reversed. Now, see, new day. Now that the highest that I can arrive at is the opposition. This rotation of positions and letting go of yesterday me, finding the me of today. Here we go. Yes, I can do this. 0 is a good first one. 77. Taking mindfulness with us. I'll leave this on because this is my mic, I guess. That's right. Like many of us, you may be in the habit of carrying your cell phone around with you everywhere you go. You think you can't live without your cell phone. You are fearful when you forget and leave your phone at home. You worry when your battery starts to run low. When we practice mindfulness, we can take our practice with us wherever we go, just like you take your phone with you. But mindfulness doesn't take up any space or make your bags any heavier, and your batteries never run down. Whenever you go somewhere, your practice goes with you. Our daily lives need to have a spiritual dimension to help us develop our capacity for taking good care of our pain and fear, as well as our happiness. If we practice mindfulness, we always have a place to be when we are afraid. If we nourish and cultivate our mindfulness practice, it will become vigorous and robust. Everywhere we go, we will have our practice, so we will have confidence, more confidence than our cell phones can bring us. We can stand firm through any difficulty. Everyone has the seed of mindfulness inside. Everyone is capable of breathing in mindfully, even very young people. Everyone can drink their tea mindfully. Everyone can take a step in mindfulness. When you're inhabited by the energy of mindfulness, you speak, eat, and walk in mindfulness. The energy of mindfulness is alive in you. Mindfulness carries within it the energy of concentration, so the seed of concentration is also in you. There are practices of concentration that can liberate us from fear, anger, and despair. Generating the energies of mindfulness and concentration in your daily life, you learn to transform your fear and anger and let go of suffering. And then, along with mindfulness and concentration, comes insight. Insight is wisdom, understanding. The seed of wisdom, of perfect understanding, is in each of us. Awareness is mindfulness, concentration, and insight. When I see you walking in mindfulness with stability, with happiness, I see the holiness in you. We might even call you your holiness. It's true. Every one of us has our holiness because we have the Buddha inside of us. When the Buddha is alive inside us, we don't suffer, and happiness is possible. Happiness through any struggle we find ourselves in. When you hold on to it and you keep trying to force the world to become what you want it to be, that's where you get hurt, and you hurt others, intentionally or not. Sometimes you imagine another person's doing something which is wronging you, but the problem is that they're just living their lives, and you have to let them do that. That's the cost of coexistence. And having a belief in karma and a mindfulness. And that mindfulness is not just a matter of being free of negative emotions or positive emotions. That mindfulness is empowered by our raw talent, our raw engineering capacity, our raw critical thinking capacity. And even if you're going to school to be a carpenter, you have to solve problems. A carpenter solves more direct problems than a doctor does. A doctor takes reading and follows instructions. That's all they fucking do. In known environments, it's formulaic. That's not as formulaic in retrofitting an old house. It's not. You can't. Such a dramatically more advanced skill set than knowing what the norm is and doing the norm. Isn't that all they're supposed to do is translate medical knowledge? And they're translating from pharmaceutical, from other industries that provide conflicts of interest, and that should have been addressed so long ago. It just wasn't. And because it wasn't, we have lost a lot of potential progress, but we still have every potential outcome available to us, all of us. We've got to get more effective in funneling the potential of our lives into something productive. Why not? I mean, it's business, it's life. Life deserves to thrive. Your life you deserve to thrive. It happens when you're wise enough to go along with the current. It's not that way for me. Don't think about what I need to do. I have a different role because I have a different character. Together we seek a harmony, though. That is universal. Some of us are destined to humbly build on the sidelines, and some of us are destined to demonstrate how we regulate. We're going to fix everything, guys. There's no getting around it. That said, when you are wanting to discuss, let's discuss. The more people playing along, the louder our voice gets. And we're not building to attack anything. We're building to liberate individuals by directly addressing overhead costs collectively. Until overhead is just not there, and we all are fed, we all have health care, life is good enough for everyone. That's the goal. I'm not sorry about anything that happens in pursuit of that society that we were promised. They're told there was no other option by people who never tried. And when you're ready to consider everything, to bear everything, that's when we can start working, really working and working together. Well, considering it's 2 o'clock now, nobody's shown up except for Matek. God bless you, Matek. Hopefully you do well in life and everything. If you're coming back, you're welcome back. We can chat. Stay warm. It is a wonderful day. Every day above ground is just absolutely wonderful. And I'm going to go eat some fruit. Fruit is wonderful. It's a little bit cold out, but who knows? Maybe things get warmer soon. I hope so. God, I could use summer, spring energy. I love it. Anyways, be good. And remember that art can't hurt you. If you freak out and panic, you're probably just